Uka has always been drawn to places where he can feel completely free. The mountains, the open fields, and the fresh wind seem to bring out the happiest side of him. Whenever we go there, he runs ahead with endless energy as if every path is hiding a new adventure. For years, I had been paragliding in those same mountains. Uka had watched me prepare many times, and eventually the whole process became familiar to him. But one thing never changed. Whenever I opened the glider, Uka would come closer and watch. At first, I thought he was simply curious. Then I started noticing how excited he became. He would follow me while I carried the equipment and stay nearby while I checked everything. Sometimes he would sit quietly and watch the glider move with the wind. It almost felt like he wanted to understand why I kept disappearing into the sky. That's when I first considered taking him with me. But I knew this wasn't something to decide in a single afternoon. If Uka was going to fly, he needed to be completely comfortable and secure. So we started preparing long before we ever left the ground. I introduced him to the glider slowly. He could sniff it, walk around it, and watch it move without any pressure. Then came the harness. I let him wear it during normal walks until it became just another part of his routine. With time, Uka became completely relaxed. In fact, he seemed to enjoy the preparation. Whenever I brought out the equipment, he would come running over with his tail wagging. It became one of our shared routines, and I started feeling that maybe he really was ready. Still, I waited for the right conditions. After months of preparation, we finally found a beautiful day in the Alps. The sky was clear, the wind was gentle, and the mountains looked incredible. Uka seemed excited from the beginning, running along the trail and exploring everything around him. When we reached the launch point, I carefully secured him and checked everything again. Then we moved forward. The glider caught the wind. We ran, and suddenly we were no longer touching the ground. Uka was flying. I looked at him immediately. I expected fear. Instead, I saw peace. Uka simply looked toward the mountains. The valleys stretched beneath us, and the clouds moved slowly across the distant peaks. He stayed close to me, completely calm. It was almost as if the sky wasn't strange to him at all. That moment taught me something about trust. Uka had no idea how the glider worked. He couldn't understand the wind or the equipment, but he knew who he was with, and he trusted me. Sometimes that's all an animal needs. They don't need to understand every situation. They simply need to know that the person beside them will take care of them. That trust is something we build every day without realizing it. Through walks, through play, through patience, through being there. All those small moments had brought us to that mountain. As we continued flying, I stopped thinking about the technical side of the flight. I simply watched Uka enjoy the experience. Eventually, we began heading back. We landed safely, and the moment Uka reached the ground, he went straight back to exploring. He sniffed the grass, looked around, and wagged his tail like he had just finished an ordinary walk. I laughed. For me, the flight had been unforgettable. For Uka, it was simply another adventure. And perhaps that's the most beautiful thing about him. He doesn't need to know whether a moment is important. He just lives it. He enjoys the wind when it comes. He explores when he's curious, and he stays close to the people he loves. Uka reminded me that happiness isn't always about reaching somewhere extraordinary. Sometimes it's about sharing an ordinary day with someone who makes everything feel special. That first flight will always stay in my memory, not because Uka flew above the Alps, but because I had the chance to experience something I loved with a friend who trusted me completely. He gave me a beautiful view that day. He gave me a memory. And every time I return to those mountains, I know I'll remember the little dog who looked into the sky and showed me that adventure is even better when you don't experience it alone. If Uka's story touched your heart, don't forget to like this video, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel for more touching and inspiring animal stories.